Hey everybody, back to do my second recent Vinyl Finds video. And this one's, I know I said in my previous Vinyl Finds video, like Vinyl Finds number 1, that there was some nice stuff. This one's even better. And on Saturday, I went up garage sailing again. I usually, each weekend or Friday, I'll look up on Friday night, see if there's any postings on Kijiji for garage sales that are selling records. And well, Kijiji's basically Canada's version of Craigslist. And I found one garage sale that looked promising, so I was able to get some stuff up, pick some stuff up there. And I also went to the record store earlier in the week and picked up some. That's the stuff that's going to be really good, so that'll be at the end of the video. But first up, the garage sale stuff. Moog Music. I mean, for $1, why not? And you can see, looks pretty interesting by the cover, and that's primarily why I picked it up. I like Moog synthesizer, and there's a lot of when the Moog synthesizer was first released, there was a lot of just kind of experimentation albums. This is one of them. It's called The Electric Eclectics of Dick Hyman. And so it's basically just, I guess, Dick Hyman doing experiments and finding the sounds that he can produce out of Moog synthesizer. So the songs are, usually there's a constant rhythm or something, but just no vocals or anything, just interesting sounds that the Moog synthesizer can produce. I mean, the titles are The Topless Dancers of Corfu, The Legend of Johnny Pot, The Moog and Me. Oh, those are the first 3 songs, so you get an idea. On a little cheesy, but more on the good side of things. I mean, Moog Music can get, as everyone knows, like very cheesy, but this one keeps it more interesting than cheesy, so I'm glad I picked it up. Next up, Sinatra, Strangers in the Night. This is, I'm not too familiar with Sinatra's catalog or something, but I've seen this quite a few times. I think it's one of his best-selling albums of all time. And on the Two-Tone Reprise label, I guess custom label, you can see his head there. So I like Frank Sinatra. I don't own any of his records prior to picking this one up, but I had heard "Strangers in the Night" before. It's a good song, and so for $1, that's worthwhile picking up. This is the best find at the garage sale by far. Oscar Peterson's Night Train. You can see nice glossy, those early covers that they also, like, I love early covers where they really took the time, like thick cardboard stock, nice gloss, usually great artwork. I wouldn't say this is the best artwork ever, but I like it. Oscar Peterson was a jazz pianist and best jazz musician to ever come out of Canada, like the most well-known Canadian jazz musician. Actually, I can't even name any others. And this is, I think, regarded by most as his best record ever. So he does mostly standards. I don't think he wrote any of the songs on this record. There's songs like Night Train, Georgia on My Mind, Bags and Grove, which I think Milt Jackson wrote Bags and Grove. And I'm not sure who wrote the other songs, but far as I know, he didn't write any. Or he might have wrote one or two. But some of the best, just straightforward piano jazz. It's a trio composition, so it's just pianist, drums, and bass. And in that cool jazz vein. So some people might pass or find this album a little boring because, you know, it's just subtle, it's not in your face, not a lot of crazy things going on in the music, but man, is it good. And I compare it like Oscar Peterson, if you've never heard him, and you've heard other, I bet there's a better comparison, but similar to kind of Bill Evans playing in a little bit of way, not as delicate, but similar. And he's just like Oscar Peterson's a great pianist, and plays really well, and there's like some emotion. He brings some emotion into his playing on this record. Very solid record. I've seen it in a record store a couple times, and I've never picked it up, and so I'm kind of glad I held out on it because I was able to find this really nice copy. Vinyl's clean, and I guess I got some time. I'll just show you the label. I've never seen that Verve label, but stereophonic, just the regular Verve label, but stereophonic. Pretty cool. So that was it for the garage sale pickups, except for I bought some other stuff and then went down to one of my local stores and traded it in for a record that I wanted more, because the other records that I bought I didn't really like them that much. Just some of your standard stuff. And I picked up the Tapes Party. Never heard the music on this prior to picking it up. All I remembered was that I saw this in, I knew it was in Stefan 73's video, and, you know, anything that's Stefan 73, especially, I knew it was a post-punk record, and anything that you see in Stefan 73 video and post-punk, you know you can trust. I went back and rewatched the video, and actually it was Derek that sent him this, so I think that's how he acquired it. And I listened to it. Really good. I've listened to it a couple times now, and good record. Not the best post-punk I've ever heard, but solid. It's by, I believe they're Dutch, and kind of in a similar vein to the Talking Heads, musically and vocally. Sounds quite a bit like Talking Heads, not saying they like ripped off Talking Heads at all, but it's in that style. The best song, the song I like the most is .88, and so good addition to my post-punk collection. Okay, on for the records that I picked up in a record store. I've been showing a lot of jazz recently, and this isn't going to be any different. I've just been in the biggest jazz kick I've ever been in. I've always picked up, for the past 2 years I've been picking up jazz quite regularly, but recently I've just been really craving those original jazz pressings, and so that's what you're going to see. I went earlier this week on I think it was Tuesday. I was in one of the record stores that I don't go to that often in Ottawa, but every now and then I'll just go in and check in to see if they've gotten anything amazing and that I can't pass up. And so, yeah, because basically I'm a vinyl addict, and so I gotta check it out every now and then. So I'm in there, and first thing I do in any record store I go in is I check out the recent vinyl, like the new used section, there wasn't anything in it, and then I looked in the recent jazz arrivals. There was nothing there that exciting that caught my interest, and I was thinking of like combing through some of the other stuff in the store, like the shelves, but I figured it wasn't worth it the time, so I was planning on leaving. And when the owner of the store, who was behind the desk, said, "Oh, can I help you without anything? And can I help you with anything in particular?" And I said, "Oh no, just browsing, thanks." And then so I was continuing to like proceed to walk out, but then I got a feeling. I was like, well, I might as well just ask him and said, "Well, have you picked up any jazz stuff recently that's not out yet?" And he said, not really. Maybe a couple of things, like I think there's a couple Miles Davis." And then I in my head I was just thinking, well, Miles Davis, you know, it's probably your standard reissue, like I don't know, like My Funny Valentine or some 70s pressings or whatever. And he only said a couple, so but I was like, oh, whatever. Do you mind if I take a look? And then he's like, okay. And then he said, oh, no problem. And so he took out the jazz records that he had. And I want to get to clear things up. The reason that I said I don't like this store that much, or that I don't go to that often, is just because they do get some good stuff in, but their prices are just ridiculous. And so he takes out these 5 records for me, and then I look over to see what he's doing at his desk, and he has like the stack of new arrivals with him, not the ones he just given me, but he's just going one by one through the stuff that he just purchased from people bringing in and selling the records, and he's on eBay. And so he's just basically going through the eBay listings, picking what he thinks is like the average price that it's posted for on eBay, and that's what's stuck on the album. And so you see, like, that's why he ends up with hugely like inflated prices, because eBay is inflated. Like I know Mark, Dr. Deadwax, was saying, and hopefully I'm getting this accurate. If you happen to be watching, Mark, I don't mean to misquote you, but he was saying, Dr. Deadwax, that as far as he was concerned, the going rate on eBay is the price of a record, and I totally agree. But you know, when you're just, and that's like if you look on like Popsake and you're seeing the recent prices it's going for, but like if you're just doing the prices, the average price that it's posted on eBay, you're gonna get an insanely inflated price. And the first record, well, let's backtrack a little bit. Before he handed me the records, the first record that I saw, and this one is pretty much a holy grail for me. Well, a holy grail. I'll just go ahead and say it. And that's Charles Mingus, Blues and Roots. And you never see this. I think this was 1961. I'm not sure, I forget, but when Charles Mingus was on Atlantic, and this is definitely one of the best jazz records of all time. This is on I believe this is original, as far as I know. This is a Canadian original on the Red Atlantic label. If any jazz expert happens to be watching and knows otherwise, please let me know. But yeah, it came on a different label in the US. Anyways, don't like the handle. As you can see, I'm being really careful because the jacket is just in immaculate shape. And the record is in pretty, good shape too. I don't know what I would rate it as. There's a couple scrapes and stuff on it, but nothing audible when you play it.